if you're new here, my name is Marnie. I am a Chico State 2020 graduate. I made a video about what you should do if classes are canceled this coming fall semester. At that point, it was still pretty up in the air because Chico was petitioning to stay open because their whole economy kind of crashes without students. From everything I can see, it looks like most classes are going to be online, and I think the dorms are closed. Not 100% on that, but you all, if you go to Chico State or if you're in college in general, will probably be in online school, which sucks. I know the coronavirus is a way bigger deal than like, oh, I don't get to live in the dorms with my friends and I don't get to go have fun in college. Yes, but it also sucks for the people whose lives are affected beyond getting sick or dying or a family member dying, and that, you know, it's collateral damage of a bunch of students who I even encouraged to go to Chico State so you could have a good, fun college experience, who are now online students who won't have the same social experience. If you would like to complain about it, feel free to complain about it in my comments, because I totally understand, and I think, you know, it's valid to be like, this sucks, because it kind of does. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some ways that I think you can still try to have fun even when all your classes are online and other activities that you may have otherwise done are all canceled. Most of the stuff in this video is going to be pretty Chico specific, but if you're choosing to stay at home with your parents in your hometown or living somewhere other than Chico, or even if you're not a Chico State student, you just go to some other college, you can take the concepts from this video and apply it to your own situation and hopefully also be able to have fun even in college corona time. Just because classes in person are canceled doesn't mean you can't still hang out with your friends. Yes, you're supposed to be social distancing, all of that. You and your close friends can probably still hang out. I don't want to tell you to do anything you're not comfortable with as far as leaving the house and being social, but I do think it's super possible to still enjoy time together. Obviously you want to be responsible, but I do think there's still ways to have fun together. Some of these include picnics, you're outside, you can distance, going to the pool. A lot of the apartment pools are still open and you can still have that kind of summer fun that you wouldn't otherwise really get to have. I think it's going to be really important for everyone to form study groups because online learning is not as easy as in-person learning, as well as starting things like maybe doing a board game night. Maybe someone has a spike ball kit and you guys all get together and play spike ball, going on walks, playing cornhole, going on hikes together. There's a bunch of different things that Chico has to offer that even though you won't see each other in class, you can still manage to get done. One of my favorite things that I was doing when we were in those like 2.5 months of quarantine school, I would have my friend over for like, I'd make a charcuterie board kind of and we would have some wine and just kind of sit around and talk, because it is weird like not talking to people all the time. So I really liked having friends that were in the same apartment complex as me and just getting to sit down and have dinner together, or sitting down and just scrolling through your phones together, watching TV, all those sorts of things, because you have to find a way on your own to have these social interactions that otherwise don't really happen the same way. You can't go to the library together, you can't go to the rec together. There's a bunch of on-campus things that were really fun that now aren't really possible or available, so it's really important to kind of make that in your own apartment or in your friends' apartments and just have a kind of hangout spot. I sometimes, if I'm feeling lonely especially, I just need to sit in the same room as someone else. We don't even need to do anything. I just want to be around another living, breathing human being. Even if you two are just working on homework in the same room, it can kind of give you the illusion of I have a social life. And on top of that, going out to restaurants, going out to get some ice cream. Most things in Chico are still open, so there's definitely opportunity to go out and have fun with your friends. The second thing I would say to do is pick up a new hobby if maybe you don't feel as comfortable hanging out with people, or if you need something to fill the time. Because when I was in my 2.5 months of online school, I had 2 Zoom classes out of my 6 classes I was taking, so I only had to be on the computer live in person for an hour a day. You have to find something to fill up your time. I really love things like painting and drawing. I originally went to Chico State as an art major and then ended up switching to nutrition. Those are really good time fillers. Like, if you don't play video games, especially as a girl, like, I got really into Minecraft during those first couple months of quarantine. Again, it's just a great way to waste hours of your time, but you also feel like you're building cool stuff so you don't feel like a total loser. And then there's stuff like baking, cooking, reading, not for school, volunteering. I don't know if that counts as a hobby, but I find it really rewarding. And I mean, start a YouTube channel, like get really into creative makeup. There's a bunch of things that you can do to fill up your time, and some of them can be social as well. Like if you and a friend want to learn to bake some cool Pinterest recipe together, or I know most guys that I know, their main hobby is gaming, and it also is social because they're all playing the same game together. So even though they're not hanging out, they are like virtual hanging out, and I think that really fulfills that social component for them. I don't think there's as many hobbies for women that are like that, unless you want to get into gaming. I'm just like not good enough, so it wouldn't happen for me. But the next thing I would say to do is get outside. Being trapped inside all of quarantine is pretty miserable, and it really just makes you feel like, just a lump, you know? You're not even a part of the world, and it is scientifically proven that being out in nature can help your mental health. So Chico is surrounded by nature. There's a bunch of different hikes, walks, bike rides for all different skill levels, as well as like distance away from Chico. So if you don't have a car, there's options, and if you do have a car, there's places to go further away. One of my favorite easy ones is at Upper Bidwell Park. You can go up Monkey Face, you can go down to Bear Hole, which is a little swimming hole, and then there's hikes all through Upper Bidwell Park that are super beautiful. You get really nice views. There's also Lower Bidwell Park, which is closer to get to either walking or by car. 1 mile is only 1 mile from campus. Super easy walking distance. This is somewhere that's great for walks with someone else or bike rides with someone else, I would argue, because 1 mile is also where all of the homeless people live. And I'm not saying that homeless people are inherently dangerous. I just wouldn't go walk there alone. Beyond 1 mile is like all of Lower Bidwell Park is just miles of these really pretty trails underneath really good shade from all the trees, and they go along the creek. So it's really nice, but definitely be careful. I would only go during daylight hours. I knew one girl who said she used to run there at night, and I was like, are you crazy? Like, I wouldn't do that, but you've been warned, I guess. If you're willing to go further away from Chico, one of my favorites was the Flumes, which are up in Paradise. I don't know if the Flumes burned down. I know there's pictures of it burned down right after the campfire, but that was also 2 years ago. So I don't know if those have been rebuilt and that trail is now open. So it might be closed. But what we used to do is we would park at Feather River Hospital and hike down from there. You basically follow these old logging trails. So the Flumes are where they would send the logs down this waterway, and then at the end you get to the river, and it's super pretty. You can jump off the rocks into the water. It's, I think, a 45 minute drive, but it's a really good thing if you and your friends all want to go do something for the day. That was one I really enjoyed when I lived in Chico. Also, if you have friends with cars, you usually need a couple of cars for this. You can go floating down the Sacramento River, or you can just go to, I think they call it Beer Can Beach, which you can drive and park at. When we went in April, I think that the river was closed still, but we managed to sneak in anyway. Sorry for trespassing, California State Patrol officers or whatever. You can get floaties from the liquor stores and fill them up with air, and then you drive them out down, is that 32? And you cross the river, and then you basically can just float down the river. We would always bring cans of beer. Sometimes they would bring a beer keg, and it's really fun. You just want to not drown. So don't get too drunk on the river. Don't drown. Okay, I'm not condoning that. But you can have a couple drinks on the river, and it's really fun. And that's another thing where you're out in the sun all day, you're out in nature, you're with your friends, you're drinking a little bit. It's a good time. One that I never got to do, but I always really wanted to, and this Table Mountain is near Chico, and in the spring they get this beautiful bloom of wildflowers that are super, super pretty, and people post pictures of on Instagram, and I'm like, I need to go there. And at the end of the hike is a waterfall, so that's a really pretty one. There's also Black Butte Lake over in Orland, and then in Orland there's a bunch of waterfalls you can hike to.
I said Orland twice. I definitely meant Oroville. You could see how I get those two mixed up. Orland Island is west of Chico. Oroville is south of Chico. There's cool stuff in Orland too, but...
Just a bunch of really cool nature spots right in like an hour radius of Chico. And then if you can't go far or don't really feel like going far, Chico's campus is beautiful. They've been still doing maintenance as far as like mowing the grass. I've always loved going out and setting up like a picnic blanket out there and just studying on that main lawn, almost treating it like school was still open. This is a really good time to do things that before you maybe didn't have time for. Maybe it is going on hikes that you previously didn't really have time for, going to different parts of Chico that you never got to explore before. It could also be like, I've always wanted to watch this TV show, now I have time for it. It's just a great time to put your time that might otherwise be spent kind of moping inside, going, man, I wish I could go to real school, and accomplishing a new task. So for me, this quarantine, it's gonna be reading philosophy because I'm really interested in it and I have time for it, so why would I not? And lastly, right now, the bars are still open, and I have a feeling that house parties are still gonna happen. And I'm not telling you you should go or like this is essential to you having fun, because if you're worried about getting the coronavirus, that's one of the worst places you could go, is to a party or a bar where you're really not gonna be wearing a face mask or social distancing. But if I was still like 19 and I was going into, say, my sophomore year right now, I'd be going to house parties, or, you know, if I was 21, I'd still be going to the bars. I'm not saying it's smart, but they're open, and they're probably still happening. And I'm not saying you need to go to have fun in Chico. Like, you can just drink at home with one friend. But if you are trying to get that Chico experience, I do think those parties will be kind of like once in a lifetime, like Corona parties. I don't really know. I'm sure as soon as students are back in Chico, the bars will probably shut down. House parties will probably be pretty strictly enforced by the police. But I would go. Personally, but I'm also kind of an idiot who did a lot of dumb stuff in my partying years in Chico, so maybe don't listen to me. I don't know. Like, that's pretty bad advice at the end there. I'm kind of ashamed of that, but I'm just being honest. Being honest. Overall, I think hopefully everyone can figure out a vaccine, get it out as soon as possible, and everyone can get the vaccine so that classes can open back up and life can resume as normal. But I think, unfortunately, these are the cards you've been dealt as far as, like, I'm a college student and now I don't get to live my regular college student life. So I would just try to make the best of this situation as best you can. Try and have fun with the time that's been given to you. Try and form study groups. Try and email your teachers a bunch and try to not fall behind in classes. And I wish you the best of luck. I would love to hear your thoughts about your online school worries and experience. I love you so much. I am so sorry this is happening to you and your college experience. It totally blows. I think you're still gonna kill it though, and I'll see you next time.